Hello, students. Welcome to the Sunday English show. We should have a smaller crowd today because I am not going live on the main channel. I'm just going to be live on the Learn English Live and the Daily English Homework channels and the Facebook group. So, welcome all. Today, you can see the topic world news. So, we're going to talk about world news today. I prepared 10 countries 10 or no, yeah, 10 countries. We're going to talk about 10 countries news in this live stream. Before we get started, let's just take a look at who is here. Dr. Cardio is here. Pallavi is here. What's the weather like in your country? Well, I'm in Korea right now and it is hot and cold. It's starting to be fall. You're waiting, Yasmin. Welcome. And let's take a look. Going down. I don't hear anything. Why is silent? You probably came a little bit early, Europe. We started this time. And Dr. Cardio explained that. Going down. The people are talking. Nasima, hello. Sleepwalkers here, hello. All right, there's a lot. Oh, you are very chatty in the chat. Oh, Lavanya gave a super sticker. Thank you so much, Lavanya. You're my favorite student today. Going down, going down. Oh, there's a lot of chats. I think this has more chat than the big channel. Okay, you're saying hi. Akash is here. Leila Cavino. May's here. Anna Marie is here. Willie's here. All right, Lolly's here. And this guy or girl, I don't know. I cannot read that language. But hello. Looks like some Tapendra, hello, and Ernest, yes, hello. So we're going to be talking about here's my channels. If you haven't joined my channels yet, I have many channels in the description of this video and a WhatsApp group. So please join. Links below this video. And of course, yeah, you can become a channel member. Links below this video, and let's make it a little bigger. You can join the WhatsApp group. Links below this video. These are the countries we're going to talk about today. These are some news stories I got from these countries. Harry 300's here. Ernawati. All right. We'll get started. I'll have a drink of my lime juice. Not juice. Drink. All right. So we have Iran, two articles. Now, we're going to talk about the news. I didn't prepare full articles because I'm not allowed to do that for copyright reasons, but I did bring in headlines and a little bit of the article, and we'll talk about that. And I'll teach the English about that. So Iran, Afghanistan, Sudan, Russia, Haiti, Indonesia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and India. If you are from any of these countries, let me know because we're going to talk about those countries. Make a war for your dreams. Pallavi is going to be out of battery soon. And hello, Robin. I've just come. Oh, you came back from vacation. You missed a lot. All right. So, because we're talking about news, that could be a sensitive topic. As Sleepwalker says, I'm from Russia. I'm just talking about the news. My role today, teach English. That's my main job. That's what I'm here to do, teach you English. I'm here to listen. If you want to say an opinion, I'll listen. No problem. I'll hear anything you say. And I'm not going to push an opinion. So I'm going to try to be neutral of course. We're human. Sometimes we're not, but I'll do my best to listen, be neutral, and focus on the English. That's my job. Your job. Your first job is to learn English. So listen to me. I'm going to talk about some vocabulary. The vocabulary in this lesson is formal because it's in the newspaper. And newspaper vocabulary can be difficult at times because it's very formal. So, number one, you got to learn the English. And two, listen to me, listen to other chat members. And number three, you can share an opinion about something. No problem. I like to see opinions. But number four could be a problem if you decide to push strongly your opinion. I don't mind people telling me their opinion, but you shouldn't be pushing your opinion. So I think if we just follow these simple rules or roles, we're fine when we're talking about these issues. It's just to learn English. Uh, none of the news is meant to upset anyone. All right. Boss is always watching me. He's here. He's watching. I'm working. Is that a bear or a dog? That is, I believe that's a bear. Are you a bear? He says he's a bear. Yes, it's always understanding many vocabulary related to news. Many vocabulary related to news. Yes. So let's take a look at this first headline. This is just the headline. We'll talk a little bit more as we get into the headline. But let's look at the headline. This is from CNN, September 25th today. And the headline says, I'll try to make that as big as possible. Young Iranians are rising up against decades of repression. So we have two words there in purple. Rising up. What does the rising up mean? And the second word, repression. What do those words mean? Tell me in the chat. Rising up and repression. What do those words mean? Rise up. Lolly Lolly comes in with protest. Some sort of protest. They're against something. So Lolly Lolly knows how to rise up. And what about the repression? Rising up means request something. Request is very polite. When you rise up, you're kind of fighting. So it's more of a protest. So as rebel against, their sleepwalker, rise up. So Lolly Lolly's from France. They have a history of rising up. And Sleepwalker is from Russia. They have a little bit of history of rising up. And Little Dreamer's an Indian. We'll get to Indian news later. What's the repression? Well, what's a decade? Decade is one decade, 10 years. All right. So one decade is 10 years. So decades. So 10, 10, 10, probably since the 1970s. So 80s, 90s, the 10s, the teens. So rising up of repression. What is repression? Lolly Lolly's coming in. Restriction or suppression. Yes, these are similar words. Repression, they are controlling you. You are not allowed to express yourself. If you are repressed, you are controlled. Your freedom, there's a limit on your freedom. So that's what repression means. So young Iranians are rising up against decades of repression. That's the headline in CNN. And here's a little bit of the article that we can look at so we understand what it's talking about. So it says thousands of Iranians have taken to the streets. So that's an English expression. When you take to the streets in protest since the death last week of a 22-year-old Masa Amini, who was apprehended in Tehran and taken to a re-education center, apparently for not wearing her hijab properly. So I'm sure everyone has heard about this story. If you haven't heard about this story, let me know, because the young people in Iran, they have been uh, not just rising up in their country, but they've also been all over social media expressing being upset. Centuries, that's 100 years. 100 years is 1 century. 1 decade is 10 years. As Yasmin says, and MD Mubashir, I'm from Bangladesh. India and Myanmar are our neighboring country. Yes, I've been to all three countries, and I have a news article later. I have a news article later about all three of those countries. All right, so take to the streets. The people are going onto the street to protest. So in English, we have this English expression, they took to the streets, which mean they would be protesting. So if someone takes to the streets or some group takes to the streets, that means they're going to protest. So thousands of Iranians have taken to the streets to protest since the death last week of 22-year-old Masa Amini, who was apprehended. So you can see apprehended is purple there. What is apprehended? Apprehended. When the police catch you. So you are apprehended. Does it mean arrested? It can, but not always. So apprehended kind of means they caught you. It doesn't really mean you're arrested and you go to jail. It's just they caught you. So it's a little different than arrested. It can mean the same thing sometimes, but in this case, I don't think she was arrested. She was apprehended. She was caught, taken to the re-education center for not wearing her hijab. Nice to meet you. There's someone from Japan. Welcome. I do not have any Japanese news today. Apprehended is a new word for me. Good. That's why we're here, to teach new words. Walk out. That could be rise up. Stand up against injustice. Not always injustice. Just rise up. You're going to protest. So lolly, apprehended, arrested. Again, arrested is more official. They're going to put you in handcuffs and put you in jail. But apprehended is they catch you. They probably caught her, took her to the re-education center. So she's not arrested officially. She is, oh, here's a good word, detained. So detained. Apprehended is when they catch you. Detained means they're keeping you. So she was apprehended, taken to the re-education center, and detained. She was kept at the re-education center. So we're going to learn all about crime. Move that chair. Repression, a little bit of suppression, keeping it down. What is the best online American newspaper that we follow to increase our newspaper related words? Good question. I follow a lot of newspapers. I would probably recommend BBC, something like that. Repression, does that equal domination? No. Domination is total control. Repression is just some restrictions, some rights not allowed. That's not total control. So we have taken to the rising up. When you rise up, you take to the streets and you're going to protest. And the police, the police will probably arrest you. But in this case, for her, she was apprehended, which is not as strong as uh, arrested. Okay. Now we get to the difficult part. Now we get to the difficult part of this. Do you see re-education center? Now, re-education center has quotation marks. What does that mean? What do the quotation marks on re-education center mean? I put them in purple. I don't know if you can see them. Re-education center quotation marks. And Lolly says it's mean, it's a lie. Well, it could be. So, but it means not really education. Yeah. So their words literally? No. No, 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 no. That would be the opposite of that. Sorry. Nice guess, Layla, but that's so when we learn quotation marks is when we are quoting someone. So someone said a sentence and we want to say they exactly said that sentence, we use quotation marks. So that's the most common way to use quotation marks. But this is another way to use quotation marks. So it's not reporting what someone said. Well, it could be reporting what someone said, but when there's a word or not a sentence, like one word or two words, in this case, it's just re-education center, and you see one word or two words in quotation marks, that means there's some doubt. Maybe it's a lie, or maybe this is not true, or this is not the correct word for this. So, what is a re education center? Are they really re educating them there? So, we don't really know what that is. That's the name we're using. So, we're using that name, re education center, and we're using quotation marks to show this is not the best name. It doesn't accurately describe this place. All right. So she was taken to a re-education center, which means what is a re-education center? That sounds strange. Okay. For not wearing the hijab. All right, that was the first article. We're going to move on to the second article here, which is also about Iran. And we're talking about Elon Musk. We know Elon Musk is the famous billionaire who is the CEO of Tesla, the electric car or the battery car, and SpaceX. He is helping, he's sending rockets to space and he's building battery cars. So he greenlit to activate Starlink internet for Iranians. Robin, sir, your name in the Bengali language. Interesting. I have no way to copy that. Lolly says her opinion, it's a prison, really. Sleepwalker's asking, what's the difference between, the double quotes and single quotes? Single quotes, generally single quotes, you're just not quoting anyone. Single quotes is a different punctuation, and it's usually just highlighting a word. If you're writing an essay, the best way to highlight a word is italics, when you turn the word sideways. That's the best way to highlight a word. But when we're typing like this, Akash says it means something and he wants to highlight that word, he's going to use single quotes. So in the digital format, if you can't italicize, because in an essay, you would probably italicize, when you change the words to a side. But we never use single quotes. There are, well, okay, you can use single quotes if you're quoting someone in a quotation, but that's getting complicated. I'm not going to talk about that in this video. All right, what's greenlit? Green lit. I'm going to get the Oxford here. Greenlit. I don't know. Oh, good. When you give, okay, it's an idiom. And Akash got it. Akash, good job. So when you green light something, that means you give permission. So when something, it's an idiom. When we green light, so the word is green light, but this is past tense, green lit, light, lit. So that means Elon Musk gave permission to activate his Starlink internet for Iranians. So Elon Musk has the satellites that you can connect to directly for your internet. You don't have to go through your own government or local internet providers. Elon Musk has this company, Starlink. You can connect directly to his satellites for internet. So, in Iran, they are starting to control the internet, the social media. So Elon Musk he likes freedom of speech, freedom of expression. So he's going to allow Iranians don't use the local internet providers. You just use my satellite and you will always have access to the internet. Sleepwalker says, give the go ahead. Yeah, that's right. You give another idiom, go ahead, give the go ahead, green light it. That means give permission. So let's see what I have. So SpaceX CEO Elon Musk has been given the green light by the United States government to activate the satellite internet service Starlink to help Iranians protesting against the death of a woman in police custody. All right, so Elon Musk was given permission by the US government. So Elon Musk has been given the green light to use his satellites to give internet service to the Iranians protesting against the death of a woman in police custody. So in police custody means, yeah, the woman was detained. So she was apprehended, caught, and in police custody, she was detained. So in police custody, the police have her. And that was from Al Jazeera, September 24th, yesterday, depending where you are. And Willie, that's a good initiative by Elon. He did the same thing for Ukraine. He did the same, when Russia invaded Ukraine, he did the same thing to help Ukraine. So, I have to be neutral. I don't know if that's good or bad, but thank you for your opinion. So, Elon Musk has a lot of power because now we know wherever there's protesting in the world and the government, to control the people, they're going to shut down Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. But Elon Musk, he might be the hero of all future protests because he can just say to any country, I know your country shut down the internet, but you can just use my satellites and you always have internet. Hello, Grace. Bertha's here. We're talking about the news. Is it the role of Elon Musk? That's not his job, but I think it's good for business. If you let the country use your satellites, then they're I think if you're in a country where the government controls the internet, then yeah, I think the people in that country would be attracted to use internet that's not connected or related to their government. Even in South Korea here, there is some censorship. So I'd like to bypass that. Little Dreamers, green light meaning to allow for something or natural light. Okay, it's not talking about, it's an idiom. It's not talking about actual light. It's just an idiom that means give permission. Someone gives permission. Sir Gautam Adani from India became second richest person after Elon Musk. Rich people are everywhere. Yeah. K2 class, hello. Would you like to use Elon Musk's Starlink internet? Would you like to use that instead of your local internet? That's an interesting question. I would prefer just to use Elon Musk because he's never going to shut it down. All right, let's move on to the next story. This one's from Afghanistan, and the source of this is the UN, the United Nations website. The United Nations website. They talk about news too. So sometimes I go to the United Nations website to check the news. So you can check that if you want to study English, news.un.org. And I got this from September 25th. Let's take a look at the headline. The headline says, forced out of school, but refusing to give up on education in Afghanistan. Forced out of school. So what does it mean, forced out? Well, I don't know, Lolly. I gave an opinion about Elon Musk. He might just want to help people. I don't know. I think he will give it for free. Give it for free at first, and then when people they want it, then you start charging money. Our internet is awful. Is it awful because of the connection, or is it awful? I was gonna ask you if it's awful because of government control, but I don't want you to answer. A little dreamer, yes, I like it. Let's see how much the Starlink costs. Starlink is $110 a month. 110, that's really expensive. $110 a month. And to set it up costs $600. But yeah. It's too expensive for me, but in the future it might be cheaper. All right, forced out, expelled, you must leave or get out. You have to leave. You're forced, you're pushed. Someone is dragging you out. It's not optional. It is mandatory. You're out of school. But so you're out of school, but you're refusing to give up on education. Who do you think they're talking about? They're talking about a group of people forced out of school, but refusing to give up on education in Afghanistan. Which group of people do you think they're talking about? No, Pallavi, other people are here. Uh, you just keep talking, Pallavi. They're here. Yeah, I know, Layla. Dismissed. It's a little stronger than dismissed. It does mean dismissed, but really strong. You're forced out. You got to go. And Willie's thinking about the Starlink. Well, it's new, right? So, everything that's new is very expensive. And over time, as more people use that item product, the price goes down. Force out, evict. Evict we would use for housing, like an apartment or a house. If someone's renting and they stopped paying rent, you would force them out or evict them. Layla with an I is here. Rejection, they refuse. Yeah. So which group of people, hello, Pallavi, which group of people are forced out of school, but they're refusing to give up education in Afghanistan? Which group of people are they talking about? Who's forced out of school in Afghanistan? Excuse me. Got to listen to my drinking. Refuse, decline, dissident. Dissident is no. Well, let's take a look. So this is from the UN, and Layla with an I says girls, maybe, and women. So girls in Afghanistan, girls have been forced out of high school ever since the Taliban returned to power a year ago. A United Nations backed initiative is training girls to help others in their situation, educating their peers until they are able to return to formal schooling. All right, so the girls, they're forced out ever since the high school girls. I don't know about elementary, middle school. Anyone from Afghanistan here? And they have a United Nations backed. What does that backed mean? United Nations, because this is one adjective. United Nations hyphen backed, acting like an adjective. What does that backed mean? Suspended means temporary. So they're not suspended, it's permanent. Suspended is a good word, but it means temporary. Temporary. Refused. Yeah, they're not going to do it. So, yeah, backed means support. Yep. Excuse me. And we have initiative. A United Nations backed initiative. What is an initiative? They don't study. They're still in Afghanistan. An initiative is a very, very formal plan. So you have a plan. So there's a plan. And it's supported. This plan is supported by the United Nations. And what is the plan? Training girls to help others in their situation, educating their peers. Okay, what's a peer? What is a peer? A peer. First step or plan. Yep, the correct lolly. And hello, KWC. Most of my answers are wrong. Good. That means you're learning. Who is a peer? It could be a friend, but it doesn't mean friend because a peer might mean a not friend. It could mean same age, but not always. So, yeah, a peer is someone with the same situation as you. Now, it could be based on your job, it could be based on your age, it could be based on your group, like young girls. So in this case, we know peers are high school girls. That's the peer group, high school girls. But peer, it can change depending on the connection with people. So my peer, are you in the chat? Are you my peers? No, we have no connection. You are not my peers. You are my students, and I'm the teacher. That is not a direct connection. We are not the same age. I'm an old man. So uh, you are peers because you're all students. You have that connection of students. So, yeah, peer can be coworker, colleague. It could be based on age. So, I think Harry 300, the same group, and you can change what that group is. So in this case, it's high school girls. So a United Nations backed initiative is training girls to help others in their situation. So they're training some girls to help other girls because they can't go to school. So they got to help each other until they are able to return to formal schooling. What is formal schooling? Classmates, the same situation. They could have the same age. Akash says, Lily, Willie, Lolly, many have same name here. So confusing. Okay, Grace says formal. Yeah. So when you're actually in a government school, that's formal education. So when you're at home studying, and they're probably at home studying, that's not formal schooling. That's informal schooling. That's not official schooling. So let's look at the headline again. Forced out of school. So the girls were forced out of school. Taliban said, don't go to high school. But these girls are refusing to give up on education. All right. They still want to get educated. So the United Nations is supporting this plan, this initiative to help train girls to train other girls, something like that. Traditional education. What is traditional? Schools are only, what, 100 years old? 150 years old? We would think traditional, yes. Peer, a person who is the same age or has the same social status as you. Yes, that is possible. All right. So in Afghanistan, we talked about Iran, problems with the hijab, and Afghanistan, problem with women's education. Let's move on to the next article in the Sudan. This is also from the UN website, and this is from September 23rd. And it says half of Sudan's most vulnerable children could die. Terrible headline. Half of Sudan's most vulnerable children could die without aid. I should have highlighted aid. All right, we got vulnerable. Vulnerable. Everyone repeat after me. Vulnerable. 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 What does that mean? If there's a vulnerable group. Unprotected, yeah. Insecure, no. It's hard to pronounce. Vulnerable. People you can attack. Well, yes. I like Lavagna's here. Powerless. So they are weak. I don't want to say that in a negative way. Just they are naturally weak. Like children are not, they cannot survive in the world without our help. So they are vulnerable. So vulnerable is not necessarily a negative word. We're not saying children are, oh, they're so weak. Of course, children are weak. But we don't want to use the word weak because weak kind of means a negative. So vulnerable is the word. They're easy to attack. They're in a weak position. You can easily hurt these people. Now we can use vulnerable with children, but there's other groups that are vulnerable, maybe older people over 70, over 80 years old. They're vulnerable to online scams. We're all vulnerable to online scams, okay? So half of Sudan's most vulnerable children could die without aid. What is aid? When we say aid, AID, what does aid mean? Disability. Disabled people are vulnerable, but vulnerable does not mean disability. But disabled people could be a vulnerable group. And MD, vulnerable, weak, and easily hurt physically and emotionally. Yes, that is correct. Helpless, uh, kind of. Risk of neglect. Yes. Could be sensitive. Yes. Maybe in danger. Yes. Uh, Easy to become a victim. Yeah, I like this one. So aid is help, outside help, help. Yeah. So what kind of aid? Uh, what kind of aid do they need? Do you think? What kind of support? So half of Sudan's most vulnerable children could die without aid. What kind of aid do they need? What kind of materials do they need? Intelligent or strong? That is not vulnerable. Medical aid? That's possible. Food aid? That's possible. Food clothing? All right, let's take a look. The situation for Sudan's most vulnerable children is so desperate that half of 650,000 kids, the most severely malnourished youngsters, are expected to die without urgent humanitarian intervention, UN agencies said on Friday. Okay, we got a lot of words here. So the situation for Sudan's most vulnerable children is so desperate. What is desperate? We need it now. It is, if something is desperate, it is, they're using the word urgent. It is needed right now. It is an emergency. Half of 650,000 kids, that half, they're the most severely malnourished. What is malnourished? Well, we have a mal, the prefix usually means negative. In this case, the opposite. So malnourished is the opposite of nourished. And what is nourished? Malnourished. What does that mean? I am not malnourished. All right. So MD Mobashir, malnourished, in bad health because of lack of food. Yes. And a lack of right to type of food. Well, you're not eating. You're unhealthy because you're not eating properly. They're not getting enough healthy food. And when you don't get enough healthy food, well, when you do, you are nourished. You get nourishment. And when you do not get healthy food, you start to get thin, you start to get sick, you're going to die. That is malnourished. You're starting to starve to death. So half of the 650,000 kids, the most severely, they're very malnourished youngsters, are expected to die. They're expected to die without urgent humanitarian intervention. Okay, we know urgent quickly. What is humanitarian intervention? Our last. Yeah, lack of proper food. Doesn't eat. They don't eat the food. Ill from denutrition. I don't think we could say denutrition, but yes. Interference is a negative word. The intervention is more of a positive word. They're basically the same thing. So if we do nothing, they will die. So we have to intervene, which would be the verb form, or interfere. Interfere is negative. So this is not a negative situation. We are trying to help. So we're not going to use interfere. We're going to intervene, which is a helpful. We go in there. So humanitarian intervention, humanitarian people, whether it's the UN or another country, they have to help. Humanitarian aid is another group or organization. They are giving for free to help. They have to help. Sudan cannot solve this problem themselves. They need another agency or government to intervene to help them. Humanitarian aid, just free aid to help. So when you see, Sudan, it's sad, but news from Sudan, nobody cares about news from Sudan, right? So they have a very serious problem here. Half of 650,000 malnourished kids are going to die without help. That's urgent, desperate. The world doesn't really care. Oh, I gave an opinion. I'll try not to give an opinion. Humanitarian, if you are a humanitarian, you care about the world, you want to help the world. You're more of a social person, not a businessman. Intervention. The opposite, interfere, is negative. So if I'm teaching a live class and someone comes into the chat and they put some spam, they're interfering. So I'm trying to do something, but they're coming in the middle to block or disrupt. They're interfering. That's a negative word. But intervene, in this case, they're trying to get in to help. Positive word. Intervene. You act, not just watch. That is right. This is a disaster. Yeah, Layla. So that's what I mean. I read a lot of world news, and the issues in Iran. The Iranians, they're very active on social media. Look at us, look at our story. And I understand your story, but there's other parts in the world. There are, many parts in the world that are suffering too. Doesn't mean your situation is bad, but let's have a global view, not just a lot of countries. My country's in trouble. You got to look at my country right now. I understand that view, but when your country is not in trouble, are you looking to help other countries? I don't know. I won't give an opinion. All right, let's go into Russia. Sleepwalker here. Again, sensitive topics. Sleepwalkers watching. We'll get through this. without a war. All right. In Russia's Far East, and Sleepwalker can tell us if this is true. This is from Al Jazeera. So Al Jazeera is not an American. I didn't want to get an American newspaper to talk about Russia. I tried to get a more neutral newspaper, and I don't know, Sleepwalker. What do you think of Al Jazeera? You know, in Russia's Far East, I guess that would be Siberia. And fear and defiance. Oh, I should have made defiance purple. That's a good word. Fear and defiance against military call up. So, fear, you're scared, and defiance. Defiance means they want to defy, which means not follow. They don't want to follow, according to the article, not me, from Al Jazeera. They want to follow a military call up. So we have call up. What is the call up? You got a keyword. I don't want to say, Willie. I understand you. Every country has some. Oh yes, every country. Some countries were. Sudan, I think, is the worst story today that I'm going to talk about, but nobody cares about Sudan except me. All right, so the call up military, no, not a report. Sleepwalker says mobilization, and mobilization, getting the soldiers together, call up. And in this case, I think MD Mubashir Ali has described it correctly, an order to join the armed forces. So recently, from my understanding, Putin said we need 300,000 soldiers. So he is going to call up the retired soldiers and the reservists. So, your country has an army that's ready to fight, but your country also has reservists that are kind of part time soldiers, and your country also has retired soldiers. So, right now, Putin has his army, in Ukraine. I got to be careful with my words, Sleepwalker. And he decided to call up, I guess, the reserve army, who are not real army, and the retired army. Correct me if I'm wrong. So he decided to call them up, so mobilize them. So all of you people who are not in the regular army, now you have to join the army. So in Russia, yeah, fear and defiance. A lot of people in Russia are scared and don't want to go to the army. They don't want to join the army. Again, Sleepwalker, you have to tell me if that's true or not, or you don't have to give an opinion. I don't want to say something wrong. All right. So the article says long queues form at Russia's borders as men try to leave the country as they fear being called up to fight in Ukraine. Yes, a draft to summon. They're asking pesto enroll. What's pesto? Any good news? The good news, Willie, is you are improving your English. Actually, the last article about India, I have good news about India. Good news, Robinson fired. I didn't fire. He's watching me. Okay, Zakaria, a lot of double standards as many countries were invaded by the West and was branded as the fight for freedom. Yes. Excuse me. Thank you for sharing. Okay, queue. Long queues waiting in line. So a lot of people are queue. Now, queue is a formal way to say waiting in line. Americans usually just say wait in line, but the formal way is queue, and British English often use queue. Let's queue. Let's wait in line. So long queues form at Russia's borders as men try to leave the country as they fear being called up. So summoned to the army, drafted, something like that. All right. That's what's happening in Russia, according to Al Jazeera. All right, let's move on to the next one. Haiti. Haiti. Haiti needs support to quell gang violence and ease political tensions. Haiti needs support to quell, that's pronounced quell, gang violence and ease political tensions. Q, yep, in the line. Oh, who is that? Ritesha, hello. Q, oh, good. Line of people, cars, yep, it can be cars, people, anything can be in a queue, in a line. Quell, suppress. You use it suppress, yes, but let's. I like simple today. Stop or suppress. Subdue, yes. Decrease. Now you want to stop it. You want to stop, quell it. You really want to suppress or stop it. Quash, yes. Interesting choice there, lolly lolly. Can queue be used as a verb, also as a noun? Yes, it can. Let's queue. Let's queue up. Yes, again, good question. Janina Costa. It's good to see you back. Quell means crush, or it can mean that depending on the context, but in this it probably means that. So Haiti needs support to quell gang violence. So stop, defeat, crush. That fits here. And ease political tensions. Robin, I think if I want to know almost everything about news and political, I have to read English newspapers from now. No, you just have to watch this video. For all your news, just watch this video. Hassan says, fight. Stop. You want to stop that. Tension can be muscle tension but it doesn't mean depression. All right, let's go through. So Haiti, the country, needs support to quell, stop gang violence. There's a lot of gangs there. They need help to stop that and ease political tension. When you have tension, people are about to fight. They're not fighting yet. They could be fighting a little, but tension means building anger, and then usually tension leads to explosion of something, fighting or something. But that tension, you can feel that they're ready to fight. Political tension. So then you want to ease. And what does Lala say? Lack of difficult? No, we just reduce. Ease, reduce, relax, ease it, ease the political tension. Haiti needs help. They got to stop, quell the gang violence. Also, they need to ease the political tension. Let's take a look. Escalating gang violence has set off a crisis that is threatening the very foundations of the rule of law in Haiti, according to Foreign Minister Jean-Victor Janus. I don't know how to pronounce that, who told UN delegates in New York on Saturday. This is also from the United Nations website. We have a great word here, escalating. I want everyone to learn this word right now, escalating. What does escalating mean? Calm, reduce, make it easier, ease. Ease it, make it comfortable, relax, relieve. We face all of this vocabulary will be on an IELTS test. This is formal English. Tension, a situation in which people do not trust each other or feel unfriendly towards each other, as all political groups always have tension. Escalating, increase rapidly, increasing. It comes from the we have the elevator, so we could say elevating, but in this case we also have the escalator, and we use escalating, going up, rising, increasing gang violence. We have phrasal verb here. Phrasal verb says set off a crisis. What does set off mean? Escalating means acceleration. No, acceleration means trying to increase your speed in a car, but escalating just rising. All right, so Janina says set off means start. Yeah, so this phrasal means to start. Sleepwalker, instigate. Yeah, a little more formal. That's right. So the gang violence is starting a crisis, is threatening. So it might damage the very foundation. So we use this expression in English, the very foundation, which means the important base. In this case, the rule of law, the very basics of the rule of law. This gang violence is threatening all law. It's possible that Haiti becomes lawless, no law, because of these gangs. So it's a very critical threat. And I stumbled because I saw Mike came in. Hey, Mike. And he told this to UN delegates. What's a delegate? Pallavi says, I don't understand this. Yes, Pallavi. They were talking about formal issues. I agree. It's challenging vocabulary, challenging topics. Delegate. All right. This is delegate as a verb. Delegate. But UN delegates, that's a noun. That's a person. So you guys are focusing on the verb form. This is not the verb form. This is the noun form. And yes, Layla and Zakaria Hussein and Grace, the representatives. So very formal representatives. So of course, when you go to the UN in New York, there's representatives, delegates from all kinds of countries. So he made a speech and he said, yeah, the gang violence is getting bad. We have to stop it. We have to quell it. And agent is not quite a delegate. A delegate is more formal representative. So good delegate, the verb form, to give some work to another person. A delegate, noun form, is a representative. A seller? No, a delegate is not a seller. All right. So Mabasher delegate, a person who is chosen or elected to represent the views of a group of people and vote and make decisions for them. So when you go to the UN in New York, all the countries are represented by their delegates who will represent that country at the UN. We also have envoy. Yes, that is a near synonym. An envoy. Jalila. Oh, yes, you're here. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is from Indonesia. I got this from the Diplomat, September 23rd. Bajorka, the online hacker trying to take down the Indonesian government. So I should have highlighted take down in purple. We have a phrasal verb there, take down. What is take down? Take down. Akash, we've been talking to you for 1 hour. I say hello to you, Akash. I really appreciate your participation, Akash. So, Akash, you see what I did there? I said, thank you, Akash, for being here. Now everyone else is jealous. Now you're the most special person. Take down. Zakariya is bringing in another phrasal verb, bring down. Okay, so there's many phrasal verbs to mean take down, and Willie is going to bring in a more dictionary definition to defeat. Yes. To bring something, no. Oh, remember with phrasal verbs, take down has many meanings. So we have to decide from this context. Now, I can't teach all the meanings of takedown. There's probably 3 or 4 different meanings of takedown, but in this case, from the context, overthrow or defeat or remove, take down to remove a structure. Well, in this case, yeah, you can take down a building, which means to remove the building, but in this case, take down the government. Remove the government. All right, so let's look at the story. It's a little bit longer. Big thing in Indonesia. So, some 1.3 million SIM card registration details were stolen and listed for sale on a dark web online marketplace. Excuse me. How many people live in Indonesia? 273 million people live in Indonesia, but 1.3 billion SIM card registration. How come they have so many phones? This article seems wrong to me. Anyway, they have a lot of phones. Everyone has 3 phones in Indonesia. They're stolen. The data was harvested. Okay, so the key word there, harvested, and Sleepwalker's already on that, gathered. So it's a farming word. You have your crop, and every year you harvest, you collect the food. It's like if you're growing corn, and I'm not a farmer. I don't know when we harvest, which month we harvest corn, but when the corn is grown, it's fully grown, we harvest it. And in this case, the data was harvested, it was gathered or collected in part as a result of a change in policy in 2017 requiring that anyone using an Indonesian SIM card first register it in their name using their identity card, known as a KTP, and their family card, known as a KK. It sounds like this hacker has everyone's information. But Jorka. Anyone from Indonesia here? Give some feedback on Bajorka. How do you feel? Are you angry at Bajorka or are you angry at the government? Or are you angry at both? I want everyone now to look at the beginning of the paragraph. It says some, but this sum has a different meaning. What does this sum mean? It says some 1.3 billion SIM cards. It does not mean some of them. It has a different meaning. What does that sum mean? That's going to be a very advanced usage of some. Layla with an I. About. Zachariah, around. So this is almost approximately, yes. So very advanced usage of some. You got to know there's two ways to use some. Some is just a few of that, and some like this means almost or about that number, approximately. An average, not in this case, not an average. All right, so that's a world problem. Hackers getting, I think even in Korea here, hackers have stolen everyone's ID multiple times. I don't want to jump at the complicated. Hey, add this, Dad. Patrick De Lima Fernandez. Hello, welcome. Unspecified number. All right, let's move on to number 8. Pakistan. What happened in Pakistan will not stay in Pakistan. Flood ravaged country warns UN. This is from CNN, September 23rd. I highlighted flood ravaged, which is acting like an adjective for country. It's describing the country. So flood ravaged. What is what is ravaged? It on my diction. I know what it needs, but I know what it means, but I just need help explaining it because I'm sleepy. It's already an hour. Fishing. Yes. Be careful. Don't give your information to strangers. All right. Ravaged, ruined. Yes. Destroyed. Yes. Damaged. Yes. Flood ravaged. What happened in Pakistan will not stay in Pakistan. What does that mean? Flood ravaged country warns UN. What do they mean? What happened in Pakistan will not stay in Pakistan. What do they mean by that? Devastated. Ravaged. Done by something. Destroyed. Yes. What happened in Pakistan will not stay in Pakistan. What do you think the meaning there? Do we have anyone from Pakistan watching right now? Damaged, yes. Ravaged, yes. Destroyed. It will affect other countries. Will be disclosed. Well, let's take a look here. The flood might move to another country. No, you got to think bigger. So Pakistan's prime minister, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce the prime minister's name, Shehbaz Sharif, has warned that climate change will not spare other countries the sort of disaster that left up to 1/3 of his country underwater and millions of its children at risk of waterborne diseases. Whoa, that's a big sentence with a lot of information. So we got Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. He has warned climate change. All right, so Climate change is what happened to Pakistan, and it's not going to stay in Pakistan, right? Climate change, what happened in Pakistan because of climate change is going to happen everywhere. So, has warned that climate change will not spare. And what does that spare mean? Let's focus on that spare. All right, so you may. All right, thank you, Pallavi. Yeah, other countries will not be safe. So if you spare, you save. You save or you protect something. You spare it. Um, so the word spare has many meanings as a verb form, adjective form, but in this case, spare means to save it. So it will not save other countries. So it will attack. It will not, I think Sleepwalker has her here. It won't bypass. It won't go around. Thank you, Krishna Mali. I'm in Asia. I'm surrounded by Asians. So climate change will not spare. It will affect, he's saying it will affect other countries, the sort of disaster, similar disaster that left one third of his country underwater, millions of its children at risk for, we have waterborne, hyphen there, showing it's acting like an adjective, diseases. What are waterborne diseases? Yes, save, protect. Other countries won't escape. His warning. What happened in Pakistan will not stay in Pakistan. Sorry, he blamed UN for flood instead of helping his own country. Well, okay. Thank you, Akash. Thank you for sharing. This, I would definitely agree. We can never trust governments. Every country in the world, what unites the people of the world is we cannot trust governments, and maybe even the UN. All right, see you, Grace. Illness because of water. Now, what is a waterborne illness? Let's get some names here. Cholera, would that be one? Typhoid. Mm, typhoid, cholera, dysentery. These are illnesses that you can get from the water. Drinking the water. The water is dirty. You're drinking it, and you get severe illness. So waterborne. Waterborne. Born means from the water. It was in the water. It's coming from the water. Diseases. Malaria comes from mosquitoes, as far as I know, not water. Dengue fever, does that come from the water? That's also by mosquito. So I would say dengue fever and malaria, these are not waterborne. We have cholera, typhoid. There are some diseases you get from drinking water. I'm not a doctor, but not every disease is waterborne. There are specific diseases that are waterborne. So typhoid, I don't know what you would call that. I can't teach all the diseases right now. You can check that later. All right, so that's from CNN. Let's move on to number 9. Basically, contaminated water. Mosquitoes are from water, but you need the mosquito bite, don't you? Diarrhea, you would get that from born with an E. waterborne. So here, let's get born. It's not born like a baby. Born means carried by. So waterborne means carried by water with an E. I'm from Bangladesh. My country's news. Okay, maybe you can give us some insight into this news. Um, dang, I don't know how to pronounce it. Dang, let me get the pronunciation. Dangy. I was wrong. Dangy. I've never said that before, so that's pronounced dangy. Dangy in English. Dangy. All right. Oh, okay. Let's look at the news. I almost fell asleep. Exercise restraint. Bangladesh tells Myanmar as border clashes intensify. Actually, I should have highlighted clashes too. Okay, so we have exercise restraint, which is a common English expression. What does exercise restraint mean? Are we talking about exercise? No, this exercise is a different verb. What is exercise restraint? Show, okay, the full expression, show calmness. Yes. So you exercise, you should use your power, restraint to control yourself. So, yes, you exercise restraint, which means you should use your power to control yourself. Don't go wild and doing crazy stuff. Exercise restraint. Use your power to be calm, control yourself. So, exercise restraint. Bangladesh tells Myanmar as border clashes intensify. We have clashes, not a war, a small fight. Very, very, very small. Some sort of fighting, very small, not a war, and intensify, increase. Something increases. So Bangladesh tells Myanmar, hey, that we got some fighting, something happens, intensify to increase in degree or strength, to make something increase in degree or strength. Yes. Increase, become worse. Yes. So you should control yourself. I'm Bangladesh. I'm telling Myanmar, you should exercise restraint. You control yourself because, these clashes are increasing. Might be trouble in the future. Let's take a look. Bangladesh on Saturday. Oh, this is from the Hindustan Times. I think that's India. Is that it? India or Bangladesh newspaper? Let me know if you know the Hindustan Times. Bangladesh on Saturday asked Myanmar to exercise restraint as tensions escalated. Now, we already saw tensions and we already saw escalated. So here it is again in the newspaper articles. So, Bangladesh on Saturday asked Myanmar to exercise restraint as tensions escalated in frontiers. What is frontiers? Over the use of artillery guns along the border by its forces, which killed a Rohingya. I don't know how to pronounce that. Let's get the right pronunciation. This frontier. Rohingya. So Bangladesh on Saturday asked Myanmar to exercise restraint as tensions escalated in frontiers over the use of artillery guns along the borders by its forces, which killed a Rohingya child and wounded several others in the past several days. That is a long sentence. I should have broke that up into two sentences. All right. The frontier can be the border of the country, but yeah, it's kind of the border or kind of far away from the city. Not many people are living there. It's not a very populated area. The Hindustan Times is a global newspaper. I agree, but it has a head office. Where is the head office of the Hindustan Times? Where did it come from? Which country did it come from? You know, the BBC is a global newspaper and CNN is a global newspaper, but we definitely know BBC is from the UK and CNN is from uh, America. And yeah, artillery guns, the guns they're shooting. So there was an incident that was reported that on Myanmar side, they shot the artillery, like the bullet from the gun, the big bullet, and it crossed the border into Bangladesh and it killed the Rohingya child. I think he was a teenager, and it wounded several other people. So that's a big deal. You know, if you're in one country and you fired a weapon and it went into another country, you know, that is a big problem, right? That could lead to war, things like that. So exercise restraint. That's kind of a warning. Control yourself. Bangladesh tells Myanmar as these clashes intensify. We don't want to cause trouble. Okay, the Hindustan Times is an Indian newspaper. Okay. Global, but made in India. Yes. Do you like the Hindustan Times? I didn't want to get every news from CNN and BBC, so I tried to look around the world at other news organizations, as close as I could get to that country. But I don't know if it's a good newspaper, bad newspaper. I don't know. All right, let's move on to number 10. Here's India. And now here's the happy news. Fifth biggest in the world. Jay Shankar boasts India's economy in the US. This is also from the Hindustan Times. Makes sense that it's India because it's talking about India. What is boast? If you boast. Show off. Yes, you have a lot of pride. You want to boast. A synonym would be brag, B-R-A-G. You boast or brag. So Jay Shankar boasts. He's very proud that India's economy is fifth in the world. Very proud of. Yes, he wants to show off. There we go. Boast is brag. You know, they're so proud. Look at our country. We are fifth in the world for economy. Good for India. Good for India. So the article, external affairs. So external affairs, this person is a minister talking to people outside the country. S. J. Shankar said India stands proudly as the fifth biggest economy in the world. He said India envisions itself as a developed country by 2047 the 100th year of its independence. Okay, what is envision? Predict. It's not a prediction. It's just you are happy and proud of something. Speak proudly. So envision, to picture, yes. Growth. Envision is kind of a, yeah, see itself in the future. I like the Zakaria Hussein imagine. So you invent, it's your vision. Like a vision is a noun. The verb form envision. Imagine that vision. Imagine. So he said India envisions, they imagine, they predict itself as a developed country by 2047. I don't know. All the Indians watching now, do you think India will be a developed country by 2047? There's a lot of, I don't mean to speak negative, but I've been to India. There is a lot of poverty in India. There's a lot of rich people, but I did see a lot of poverty. 2047, I guess it could be possible. Yes, that's correct. Lolly lolly. Visualize, yes. Hindustan Times head office in New Delhi. Okay. Thanks for that. In New Delhi, the Hindustan Times. Why Hindustan? So that would be Hindu country, because Stan means country, right? Instead of saying India Times, Hindustan Times. Okay. So that's why we Indians are learning English from you, sir, to make our country proud and develop. Hey, I'm helping to get India. I also want to get India developed by 2047. Zacharias says, I doubt. All right. Good, good. All right. That brings us, that was number 10, right? That brings us to the end. Please join the channel membership. Let me know you want to support. Buy me a coffee every month for the lessons I do. And if I'm teaching you, let me know. Join the WhatsApp group. Links in the description. And I have other groups. Shaw English. I didn't broadcast this on Shaw English because I thought too many people. IELTS Insider. If you want daily English homework, after this, I got to check the homework. There's a lot of homework. Learn English Live and the A to Z English podcast. It's not my podcast, but friends of mine. You can watch that podcast. Links are in the description. Before I go, I would just like to ask, what do you think about the news? The world news live stream that I did. What was your opinion? Good and bad? Let me know in the next 2 minutes. Would you like me to do another one, or do you like just vocabulary or pronunciation or something like that? Let me know. The vocabulary is difficult. Now, so Sleepwalker, yes. But you noticed the newspaper headlines and the stories, they will recycle and reuse the same vocabulary. So right away, I just had 10 articles, but we saw tension and escalate used twice. We have intensify, harvested, set off. Yeah, we did a lot. We did a lot in this. We did a lot. Well, I hope you learned something, Sleepwalker. So that's the goal of every live stream. Nei Shang says, I did not care about world news. news in the world makes me sad. It's good, especially when we made it in educational frame. Lavanya is very pessimistic about her own country. Okay. People are always poor in my country. People are rich. You know, Lavanya, that's becoming true around the world. It was very useful as I never watched the news. Guardian and Telegraph. Oh, you know, I as a carrier, I'm very brave to talk about news because I do not want fighting. If Sleepwalker said it was difficult, so should we say? You should say, "Oh, Sleepwalker, I thought it was so easy today." Make Sleepwalker feel bad. All right, thank you, Janina. All right, Akash, thank you very much. Harry 300. Sometimes we know many vocabularies, but the big problem is when we don't know how to use them properly. Yes, it is. It is the New World Order. Israel Yanez. What are you talking about? The New World. Let's get the news off the screen. Yeah. Okay. I figured that out. Now I understand. Came late. Yeah, a little bit difficult. Hindustan. Okay. I didn't know that. Now I know that. Thanks for sharing that. Honestly, the lesson is useful, but teaching vocabulary and phrasal verbs will be more useful. Well, Layla, one reason I like this lesson, and not my lesson, is because I am using a real headline. This is a real headline, and the box of writing is real writing. So when I make my, vocabulary videos, I use example sentences. I just think them up. They're not real. But here we are looking at vocabulary in context. Uh, it's a real situation. These are real events. We have to describe real events in the world that are happening right now, and we're using the correct words. So I tend to like this style because it's not artificial. It's authentic. It's authentic. But I'll check the likes on the video tomorrow. I'll check the likes. How many people liked it? Okay, not 2 people liked it. I'll never do it again. All right. Thank you very much, Pallavi. All right. All right. I will end it there. So thanks for watching, and I got to do a lot of work for my daily English homework. I got to check all that right now. So I'll get doing my homework. I do not have any homework for this. If you do want to do some homework, you could practice making some sentences with some of the vocabulary here in the comments section, or you could also recommend news from your country that I might do in the future. Let me know. All right. Bye, everyone.